The Saturday crowd buzzed through Westfield South Center, but Mara Ellison barely noticed. She was focused on keeping her son, little Leo, from wandering too far as he studied a display of children's books. The mall smelled of Starbucks espresso and new sneakers, ordinary things, comforting things. Nothing hinted that her entire past was about to slam into her life with the force of a car crash. Leo tugged her sleeve. "Mom, can we get the one with the planets?" Mara smiled. "If you promise to actually read it this time." She didn't see him at first, but he saw her. Nathan Cole, perfect suit, perfect hair, the same cold confidence he'd had at 25, froze mid-stride. His fiancée chattered beside him about dinner reservations, completely unaware that Nathan's world had just cracked open. Because Leo stepped into the light, and the boy looked exactly like a 6-year-old version of Nathan. Same hazel eyes, same sharp little chin, same way of tilting his head when curious. Nathan stopped breathing. "Mara?" His voice was barely a whisper, disbelief choking each syllable. Mara stiffened. Slowly, unwillingly, she turned. The moment her eyes met his, the color drained from her face. Her heart thudded painfully, memories slicing through her. A cheap apartment. His cold voice saying, "If you keep that baby, we're done." Her shaking hands, his signature forcing her into silence. 7 years. 7 years she spent rebuilding herself from the ashes he left. Nathan took a step closer, eyes locked on Leo. Who is he?" Mara moved protectively, placing herself between them. But Leo peeked around her hip, innocent and curious. "Mom," he whispered, "why is that man looking at me like he knows me?" Mara's throat closed. Nathan's fiancée finally noticed. "Nathan? What's wrong?"
"Who is that woman?"
He didn't answer. He couldn't. He was staring at the impossible. His past, his lie, his son, and the truth he had buried was now standing right in front of him, wrapped in a small boy's face that matched his own. Nathan's breath came uneven, the polished confidence he always wore slipping like a cracked mask. People moved around them, shoppers, teenagers, families, but to him, the mall had fallen silent. Only Mara, and the little boy half hidden behind her, existed in that moment. "Mara," he said again, stronger this time, "tell me who that child is." Her jaw tightened. "That's none of your business." But Leo, curious and unafraid, peeked up at Nathan with those same hazel eyes Nathan saw in the mirror every morning. The resemblance was undeniable, almost mocking. Nathan swallowed hard. "He's mine, isn't he?" Mara didn't blink. "You lost the right to ask that the day you told me a baby would ruin your future." The words hit him like a punch. His fiancée, Charlotte, finally sensed something was terribly wrong. "Nathan, why are you talking to her like that? Who is she?" Nathan didn't answer. His mind was spinning backward through time. Cheap blinds in a college apartment, Mara crying, him pacing, shouting about internships and image, and not being ready. He'd believed back then that cutting her out of his life was the safest choice. "Why didn't you tell me?" he whispered. Mara laughed softly, painfully. "You made it very clear I had nothing to tell." Leo tugged her sleeve. "Mom, do you know this man?" Mara knelt, pulling him close. "Sweetheart, let's go." But Nathan stepped forward, voice trembling. "Wait, Mara, please." Hearing him plead was surreal. Mara straightened slowly, holding Leo's hand like a shield. "No, Nathan, you don't get to say please now." Charlotte stared between them, realization spreading like poison. "Nathan, is that child yours?" Her voice cracked in a way that drew attention from nearby shoppers. Nathan reached out instinctively, not touching, only reaching, toward what could have been his family. "Mara, let me talk to him. Let me talk to you." Mara stepped back. "You don't talk to my son. You don't talk to me. You don't get any part of our lives." Leo blinked. "Mom, are we okay?" Mara forced a steady breath. "Yes, baby, we're okay." But Nathan's eyes darkened with something she recognized too well. Not love, not regret. Possession, fear, and a dangerous kind of desperation. The kind that meant he wasn't going to walk away quietly. Mara walked fast, clutching Leo's small hand like she was afraid he might slip away. Her pulse pounded in her ears, drowning out the mall's noise. She had promised herself that if she ever saw Nathan again, she would be stronger, colder, untouchable. but nothing prepares you to face the man who tried to erase your child. Behind them, Nathan's voice cut through the crowd. "Mara, stop!" She didn't, but Leo glanced back innocently. "Mom, he looks sad." Sad. If only Leo knew. When they reached the escalator, Mara finally exhaled. But before she could step on, Nathan appeared at the bottom, breathless, blocking their escape. Charlotte trailed behind him, her face pale and tight. "Mara, please," Nathan said, voice cracking. "I need answers." "You already have them," she replied. "You just don't like them." Nathan's eyes flicked to Leo again. The child tilted his head, Nathan's exact gesture, and something inside him snapped. "You should have told me," he whispered. "I had a right to know." Mara's laugh was sharp. "A right? Nathan, you told me a baby would ruin your life. You made me sign that paper. You walked away first." Charlotte's lips parted. "Paper? What paper?" Mara felt the old nausea rising. The memory was sharp, the cramped apartment, Nathan placing a pen in her shaking hand, his voice cold and rehearsed. "Just sign it, Mara. Don't make this harder." Nathan stiffened. "That was years ago. I was young. I panicked. And I was alone," she snapped. "That panic you felt for one night. I lived with it for 7 years." Shoppers slowed, sensing the tension. Nathan stepped closer. "We can figure this out. I want to be involved." Leo tugged her hand again. "Mom, who is he really?" Before Mara could answer, a new voice entered the scene. Steady, deep, calm. "Mara? Everything okay?" Dr. Harris Wynn approached, holding a Barnes & Noble bag, his presence grounding like a quiet storm. He looked at Leo, then at Nathan. Nathan bristled. "Who are you?" Harris raised an eyebrow. "Someone who won't let her be cornered in a mall." Charlotte stared between the 3 adults, then at Leo, her expression shifting from confusion to horror. "Mara," Harris said gently, "let's go." And for the first time since seeing Nathan, Mara felt safe enough to breathe. Nathan stared at Harris Wynn, as if the man had materialized out of thin air. Tall, composed, wearing a simple charcoal coat that somehow made him look more powerful than Nathan ever felt, even in his tailored suits. Harris positioned himself just slightly in front of Mara and Leo, not aggressively, but with a quiet authority that made Nathan's jaw clench. "I'm talking to her," Nathan snapped. "This is between us." Harris didn't blink. "It stopped being between you two the moment you scared her child." Nathan's face darkened. "I didn't." "You did." Harris's voice remained calm, but the steel underneath was unmistakable. Leo moved closer to Harris, instinctively sensing safety. Mara noticed and felt a surprising wave of relief. Harris had always been kind during her bookstore shifts, but seeing him protect her now, it shook something loose inside her. Charlotte stepped forward, voice trembling. "Nathan, who is she? And why does that little boy look—" She cut herself off, eyes widening with dawning horror. Nathan ignored her. "Mara, we're talking. Now." "No," Mara said firmly. "We're leaving." She tried to guide Leo toward the exit, but Nathan reached out as if to grab her arm. Harris moved instantly, not touching Nathan, just stepping close enough to force him back. "Don't," Harris warned quietly. "Not here. Not ever." Shoppers were now watching openly. A security guard began walking their way. Nathan glanced around, realizing this confrontation was quickly slipping out of his control. "Mara," Nathan hissed, lowering his voice. "Running won't change the truth." Mara lifted her chin. "I'm not running. I'm protecting my son from the man who once tried to erase him." Nathan's nostrils flared. "You should have told me he existed. And you should have cared that he might," she shot back. Leo looked up at Harris. "Can we go home now?" Harris nodded. "Yeah, buddy. Let's get you two out of here." Charlotte's voice broke. "Nathan, is he really your child?" Nathan didn't answer. That silence was louder than anything he could have said. Harris guided Mara and Leo toward the exit, slow, steady, unshakably calm. For the first time in years, Mara didn't feel cornered. She felt defended. And as Nathan watched them walk away, something toxic flickered in his eyes. A promise, a warning. He wasn't done. Nathan Cole had always been the kind of man who walked into a boardroom and owned the oxygen. But as he rode the escalator down with Charlotte trailing behind him, he felt something he hadn't felt in years, panic clawing up his throat. His reflection in the glass rail looked unfamiliar, shaken, pale, cornered. Charlotte finally spoke, voice trembling from holding back tears. "Nathan, answer me. Was that child yours?" He didn't respond. His silence stretched too long, too heavy. Charlotte's breath hitched. Oh my God. Nathan rubbed his jaw hard. "It was a long time ago. I didn't know she kept—" "Don't finish that sentence," she snapped. "You sound guilty." Guilty didn't begin to cover it. He had built a life on control. Carefully crafted image, rising corporate power, the upcoming engagement party at the Ritz-Carlton, and the promise of his future father-in-law handing him the CEO track. Scandal wasn't an inconvenience. It was a career death sentence. And a secret son? That was nuclear. Charlotte folded her arms. "Why didn't you tell me you had a past with her?" Nathan exhaled sharply. "It wasn't serious. I was young. She got pregnant and—" "And you what?" Charlotte demanded. "You pressured her into ending it?" Nathan didn't answer fast enough. Charlotte gasped, stumbling to a stop. "Nathan, tell me you didn't." He finally met her eyes. "I panicked. I made mistakes." "Mistakes?" she repeated, voice breaking. "Nathan, that little boy looks exactly like you." Nathan looked away. Every part of him was screaming to regain control, fix the narrative, salvage his future. "I need to talk to her. We need clarity." Charlotte's expression hardened. "No, what you need is to pray this never reaches my father." Nathan's stomach dropped. Her father, chairman of the entire Coalbridge retail group, had zero tolerance for scandal. He had threatened to cut executives loose for far less. Nathan whispered, "Charlotte, don't tell him, please." She stepped back from him as if he were contagious. "I can't protect you if you lied about something this big." His phone buzzed, a message from his assistant. "Board wants confirmation about engagement party details." He stared at it, pulse hammering. His perfect life was already cracking. And somewhere out there, Mara Ellison, along with a boy who carried his face, was the one holding the match. The sun was dipping low by the time Mara and Leo reached their small apartment in South Seattle. The hallway lights flickered as always, humming with that faint electrical buzz that reminded her she didn't live in a place where people felt safe enough to complain. She unlocked the door, ushering Leo inside gently. "Mom, did that man hurt you before?" he asked quietly. Her heart squeezed. "No, baby, he just wasn't good to us." Leo nodded like he understood more than a 6-year-old ever should. Inside, the apartment felt too tight, too quiet. The old sofa sagged in the middle, and a stack of Amazon delivery boxes cluttered the corner. Leo's school supplies, a used Kindle Mara bought for cheap, things she budgeted for carefully. She had built this life piece by piece, out of fear and necessity, yet it was still hers, still safe, until today. As Leo settled with his new book, Mara slipped into the bathroom and locked the door. Her breath trembled. Seeing Nathan again had cracked something open, something she thought she'd buried under 7 years of survival. She remembered the night she left him, the shouting, the threats, the paper he forced into her hands, his voice echoing, "If you do this, Mara, you're destroying both our futures." But now here he was, living the future he chose, and wanting access to the one she protected. A knock startled her. "Mom?" Leo whispered. "Can you read with me?" She wiped her tears fast. "Of course, sweetheart." When she stepped out, Leo was curled on the couch, book open, blanket over his legs. She joined him, letting his warmth steady her heartbeat. But halfway through the story, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She froze. Another buzz. Then a text. "We need to talk. Nathan." Her stomach turned to ice. A second message arrived immediately. "If you avoid me, I'll involve lawyers." Mara gripped the phone so hard her knuckles whitened. She knew Nathan, knew how far he'd go when cornered. He wasn't reaching out as a father. He was reaching out as a man terrified of losing his reputation. Leo leaned against her. "Mom, are we okay?" She kissed the top of his head. "We will be." But deep down, she felt it, the storm beginning to rise. And this time, she wouldn't survive it alone. Nathan Cole wasn't a man who tolerated uncertainty. And tonight, sitting in his Los Angeles penthouse with the skyline reflecting off the glass walls, uncertainty was all he had. He loosened his tie, pacing in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows. Every time he blinked, he saw Leo's face. His face. A mirror he never asked for. A truth he spent 7 years burying. He grabbed his phone and dialed a private number. A smooth voice answered. "Mr. Cole? I need information," Nathan said sharply. "About a woman named Mara Ellison. Everything. Where she works, where she lives, who she's seeing. I want it by morning." A pause. "Is this a legal matter?" "It will be," Nathan muttered. "She hid a child from me." Another pause, almost judgmental. "Understood." Nathan ended the call, chest tight. He told himself it was about fairness, about rights, about being blindsided. But deep down, beneath the excuses and panic, he knew the truth. He wasn't afraid of losing a son. He was afraid of losing everything else. His position, his engagement, his spotless image. And Mara, quiet, stubborn, moral Mara, could ruin all of it. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles north in Seattle, another man was also thinking about Mara. Dr. Harris Wynn sat in his study, soft lamplight warming the shelves behind him. His Mont Blanc pen lay beside an open notebook untouched. He wasn't writing tonight. He was remembering. Mara's panicked eyes in the mall, Leo clutching her hand, Nathan's aggression simmering beneath polished manners. Harris had spent years avoiding emotional entanglements. After losing his wife, he built walls around his heart so tall he sometimes forgot what compassion felt like. But when he saw Nathan cornering Mara, something inside him awakened, something protective, steady, dangerous in its certainty. He picked up his phone and opened a secure search program, used only by high-level tech executives. He typed in Nathan Cole, legal record, complaints, sealed incidents. Within minutes, files began populating, things that were never meant to see daylight. Harris's jaw tightened. "So that's who you are." He leaned back, thinking of Mara's trembling voice, Leo's innocent confusion. Nathan wasn't just a threat from her past. He was a storm coming straight for her future. And Harris, for the first time in years, felt something like purpose. He wasn't going to let that storm touch her. Not again. Not ever. The next morning, Seattle was washed in soft gray light, the kind that made the whole city feel slowed and thoughtful. Mara arrived at Barnes & Noble early, hoping the quiet aisles would steady her nerves. She arranged new releases, straightened shelves, anything to keep her hands from shaking. But every time she looked at the door, her stomach tightened. She half expected Nathan to walk through it. Instead, Harris Wynn showed up. He stood by the entrance in a navy coat, hair still damp from the drizzle, holding 2 coffees. One Starbucks cup had her name written carefully, Mara, as if he'd double-checked the spelling. "You weren't at ease yesterday," he said softly. "Thought you could use this." She blinked, touched by the gentleness she didn't know how to accept. "You didn't have to come." "I know." He handed her the cup. "I wanted to." For a moment, she let herself breathe. But the moment didn't last. Her phone buzzed. A text. From an unknown Seattle number this time. "I found your address. We're talking tonight. NC." Her vision blurred. She lowered the phone slowly, realizing Harris was watching her. "What happened?" he asked. Mara tried to smile but failed. "He's not going away." Harris motioned toward a reading nook far from customers, his voice steady. "Sit. Tell me." She hesitated, then sat. For the first time in years, she spoke the truth without minimizing it. The pregnancy, the pressure, the night she fled, the hospital bills, raising Leo alone, and now Nathan's threats. Harris listened without interrupting once. When she finished, her chest felt hollow but lighter. He leaned forward. "Mara, you're not facing this alone anymore." She shook her head quickly. "Harris, I can't drag you into—" "You didn't drag me." His voice was firm. "I stepped in." Her throat tightened at the certainty in his tone. "Let me help you," he continued. "I have resources Nathan can't touch, and I've already looked into him." A pause. "He's worse than you think." Fear rippled through her. "How bad?" Harris didn't answer immediately. Instead, he said, "Bad enough that he won't be the one deciding how this ends." Mara stared at him. For 7 years she had fought alone. Now, for the first time, someone was standing between her and the storm was coming fast. Nathan Cole didn't wait until nightfall. He arrived in Seattle before noon. He stood across the street from Mara's apartment building, hands in his pockets, breath sharp in the cold air, studying the worn brick exterior as if it offended him. This wasn't the life he expected her to build, not for herself. and definitely not for his son. But now that he knew Leo existed, something ugly and territorial had awakened inside him. He dialed his investigator. "Did you confirm everything?" "Yes," the man replied. "Ellison lives alone with the child. No father listed on the birth certificate. No partner. Financially stable, but barely. She works 2 jobs. Nathan's jaw flexed. "Good. And the boy? Any medical issues? School records?" "All clean. Bright kid. Teachers say he's gifted." Nathan felt a flash of pride. Quick, unwanted, irritating. "Send me everything. And keep watching." He hung up, eyes drifting back to the apartment window, where a silhouette moved behind the curtains. He told himself he was doing the right thing. He told himself this was about rights, fairness, responsibilities. But deep down, he knew the truth. He wasn't going after Leo. He was going after control. And Mara had taken that from him once before. Meanwhile, Mara was pacing her living room, clutching her phone. Harris stood nearby, leaning against the kitchen counter, reading an email on his MacBook Pro. His calmness grounded her, but her hands still trembled. "He's here," she whispered. "I can feel it." Harris didn't question it. He walked to the window, pulled the curtain back by an inch, and there he was, Nathan, watching the building, like a hunter studying prey. Harris's expression didn't change, but something cold slid behind his eyes. "Pack a small bag for Leo. You're not staying here tonight." Mara swallowed hard. "Harris?" "No arguments." His voice was steady steel. He crossed a line. Leo emerged from his room holding his stuffed astronaut. "Are we going somewhere, Mom?" "Yes, sweetheart," she said softly, forcing a smile. "Just a little trip." As she zipped Leo's backpack, Harris made a call. Low voice, controlled tone, arranging private security. Then he turned to her. "I won't let him near you," he said. "Not tonight. Not ever without a fight." Outside, Nathan continued to watch. Inside, Mara realized she was done running. The battle had officially begun. The safe house Harris arranged wasn't extravagant, but it was quiet, tucked behind tall cedar trees on the outskirts of Seattle. Leo fell asleep almost immediately on the guest bed, his small hands still clutching the stuffed astronaut. Mara stood in the doorway watching him, her heart aching with a mix of love and fear. When she stepped into the living room, Harris was waiting. A fire crackled softly in the stone fireplace, its glow warming the room. He motioned for her to sit. "You're safe here," he said gently. "Both of you." But Mara shook her head. "Safe for now, not safe from him." Harris closed his laptop, turning fully toward her. "Then tell me everything. No holding back this time." She hesitated. 7 years of silence didn't break easily. But tonight, with Nathan prowling the city and the past clawing its way back, she realized she couldn't carry the weight alone anymore. So she told him. Not in fragments, not in half-truths. Everything. The pregnancy test shaking in her hands, Nathan's fury, the nights she cried until her ribs hurt, the paper he shoved toward her, the paper demanding she resolve the problem. His exact words, "If you love me, you'll do this." Her escape, the hospital bills, the loneliness, the terror of raising a child without a single person to lean on. By the time she finished, tears streaked silently down her face. She wasn't sobbing, just letting the pain spill out in a way she hadn't allowed in years. Harris didn't interrupt. He didn't rush to comfort her either. He simply listened, really listened, with a steady calm that felt like shelter. When she finally wiped her cheeks, he spoke. "Mara, what he did wasn't a mistake. It was abuse, and he's still trying to control you." She swallowed hard. "He'll drag me into court. He'll twist the story. He'll use his money and his lawyers. Harris, Nathan can destroy people." Harris leaned closer, eyes unwavering. "So can I." She blinked. "I'm not threatening him," Harris clarified quietly, "but I won't let him weaponize fear against you. Not again." For the first time that night, Mara's breath didn't tremble, because she believed him. And somewhere in the city, Nathan Cole was making plans of his own, plans that would push all 3 of them past the point of no return. Nathan Cole sat in his Los Angeles office the next morning, staring at the city from the 32nd floor. Usually the skyline steadied him, reminded him of his power, his progress, his control. Today, it only reminded him how high he could fall. He had barely slept. His mind kept replaying Leo's face, My son. The words refused to settle comfortably. They crawled under his skin, shifting between guilt and something darker. His office door opened. Charlotte stepped in without knocking. Her expression was carved from ice. "We need to talk," she said. Nathan braced himself. "Charlotte, I can explain." "Explain?" She tossed a printed photo on his desk. The mall security footage. Him standing inches from Mara. Leo beside her. The resemblance was undeniable. "My father saw this," she said. "He wants answers." Nathan's blood ran cold. "You showed him?" "He's the chairman of Coalbridge. Your entire career depends on him. Of course I showed him." Nathan stood abruptly. "This is being blown out of proportion." Her laugh was sharp, humorless. "A secret child is not out of proportion. And then I found this." She threw another paper, an email screenshot. Nathan's words from years ago. "Sign it, take care of it, don't make this worse." Nathan's face drained. "Where did you get that?" Charlotte folded her arms. "Should I be asking how many women you've threatened? Or is Mara the only one who kept the evidence?" Nathan's pulse hammered. I panicked. It was one mistake. Charlotte stepped back from him. "My father wants to know if the story goes public. He said, and I quote, 'If Nathan hit a child, he hides other things. We cannot trust him with the company.'" Nathan gripped the edge of his desk. Everything he had built, years of polishing his image, cultivating influence, earning the chairman's confidence, it was all slipping. He forced a breath. "Charlotte, I can fix this." "How?" she snapped. "By dragging Mara into court? By tearing that little boy's life apart? What kind of man are you?" Nathan's jaw clenched. "A man who won't let someone ruin everything he worked for." Charlotte stared at him with a mixture of pity and disgust. "He's a child, Nathan, not a scandal, not a threat." But to Nathan, they were the same thing. And as Charlotte walked out, slamming the door behind her, Nathan made a decision. If Mara wouldn't cooperate voluntarily, he would make her. By late afternoon, the rain in Seattle softened into a mist, turning the city into a watercolor of gray and muted gold. Harris drove carefully through the quiet streets, Mara in the passenger seat, Leo dozing in the back. The safe house had worked for the night, but he wanted them somewhere even more secure, somewhere Nathan would never think to look. They arrived at Harris's main home, a modern craftsman overlooking Lake Union. Not extravagant, not cold, just warm, open, and startlingly peaceful. Mara hesitated at the doorway. "Harris, we can't stay here." "You can," he said simply, "and you will, until this settles." Inside, Leo woke up and instantly brightened at the sight of the large windows and the shelves lined with model airplanes. "Whoa, Mom, look!" Harris smiled faintly. "They were mine when I was his age." Mara watched Leo explore the living room, her shoulders lowering for the first time in hours. She turned to Harris. "You don't have to do all this." He met her eyes. "I know, but I want to." Those 5 words hit her deeper than expected. She followed him into the kitchen, where he set down his laptop and pulled out a folder. "I've been going through the information I found on Nathan," he said quietly. "There are several sealed HR complaints. Nothing public, but enough to show a pattern of manipulation." Mara's throat tightened. "I knew he could be controlling. I didn't know it followed him into adulthood." Harris closed the folder. His expression darkened, not with anger, but with resolve. "Mara, you need to prepare yourself. Nathan isn't after fatherhood. He's after leverage." She sank into a chair, fingers twisting together. "He'll come for Leo." "He'll try," Harris corrected, "but he won't get far." Leo padded into the kitchen, rubbing his eyes. "Mr. Harris, do you have hot chocolate?" Harris softened. "I think I can find some." As he warmed milk on the stove, Mara watched him, this quiet, steady man who hadn't asked for anything in return. A man who saw her pain and didn't turn away. A man who didn't ask why she ran, only how he could help. The moment felt fragile, tender, safe. But while warmth filled Harris's kitchen, another message lit Nathan's phone miles away. A single line from his investigator. "Found something. You'll want to see this." The storm wasn't slowing down. It was accelerating. Nathan Cole stared at the email attachment blinking on his laptop screen. His investigator had delivered exactly what he wanted, maybe more than he wanted. A scanned document, 7 years old, his handwriting, his signature. a legally meaningless but morally damning agreement he forced Mara to sign. I acknowledge that continuing this pregnancy will end all support and relationship with Nathan Cole. I choose to terminate. His chest tightened. Seeing it in writing, his words, his pressure, made him nauseous. But fear quickly overpowered guilt. If Mara ever showed this to the wrong person, everything would burn. He called his investigator. "Where did you find this?" "She kept a copy," the man said, "hidden inside her old college lease documents." Nathan swore under his breath. "Destroy whatever you found." A pause. "Mr. Cole, she already knows I searched her records. She confronted the landlord. She's scared. She'll act soon." Nathan's grip tightened on the phone. "Then I'll act first." At Lake Union, Mara sat on Harris's couch while Leo played quietly on the rug. Her hands trembled as she unfolded a thick envelope that had been slipped under the safe house door earlier that afternoon. An envelope she assumed was from Harris's security team, but it wasn't. Inside was a court summons, a petition for emergency custody evaluation, filed by Nathan Cole. Her vision blurred. Leo looked up. "Mom, are you okay?" She forced a smile. "Just reading grown-up papers, sweetheart." But Harris had already noticed. He crossed the room in 2 strides. "What is that?" Mara handed him the papers with shaking fingers. The controlled calm in Harris's eyes fractured. "He filed for custody? Without warning?" Mara whispered. "He's trying to take Leo from me, Harris. He's really trying." "Over my dead body," Harris muttered, flipping through the pages. His jaw tightened at every line. "This is aggressive, strategic. He planned this the moment he saw you." Tears filled Mara's eyes, not from helplessness but from fury. "He doesn't want to know Leo. He wants to own the narrative." Harris took her hands. "Then we'll destroy his narrative." There was a fire in his voice she had never heard before. A quiet knock at the door interrupted them. Harris moved carefully and checked the camera feed. A woman stood outside. Wide eyes, disheveled blonde hair, terrified. "Mara Ellison?" she called softly. "Please, I need to talk to you. I know Nathan." Mara's heart dropped. Another ghost from the past had arrived. Harris opened the door cautiously, keeping one hand subtly positioned to block access. The woman on the porch shivered beneath the dim porch light, her coat soaked from the Seattle mist. She looked exhausted, like someone who hadn't slept in days. "I'm Claire Redding," she said, voice thin. "Please, I need to speak to Mara. It's about Nathan." Mara stepped forward despite Harris's protective stance. The name hit her like a cold wave. "You know Nathan?" Claire nodded, swallowing hard. "I was engaged to him, before Charlotte, before he destroyed my life." Harris exchanged a quick glance with Mara before allowing Claire inside. She edged into the living room, eyes darting around nervously, as if expecting Nathan to burst through the door at any second. Leo peeked from behind the hallway. Mara gently guided him back toward his room. "Sweetheart, go play for a bit. I'll come check on you soon." When he disappeared, Claire finally spoke. "I'm sorry I showed up like this," she said, wringing her hands. "But I saw the news alerts about Nathan filing an emergency custody petition. I knew immediately it was you he was targeting." Mara's breath caught. "Why? Why would you know that?" Claire sank onto the couch, shoulders trembling. "Because he tried the same thing with me." The room fell silent. Claire continued, voice cracking. "I was pregnant 3 years ago, and when I told him, he turned. Vicious. Controlling. He said a baby would destroy his career trajectory. He insisted I fix it. When I refused, he threatened to take the child and claim I was unstable." Mara felt the blood drain from her face. "He used the exact same language with me." Claire gave a broken laugh. "He has a script, Mara. A pattern. He chooses women he thinks he can control, and when he can't, he tries to erase them." Harris leaned forward, tone sharp. "Do you have proof of this?" Claire reached into her purse with shaking hands, pulling out a flash drive. "Every email, every voicemail, everything his lawyers tried to bury. I kept copies, for the day someone else might need them." She placed it in Harris's palm. Mara stared, stunned. "Why help me?" Claire's eyes filled with tears. "Because no one helped me, and because he's more dangerous than you realize." Outside, thunder rolled across Lake Union. Inside, the tide of the war had just shifted. Nathan Cole was accustomed to being feared, respected, obeyed. But that afternoon, sitting in his penthouse overlooking the glittering Los Angeles skyline, He felt something he hadn't felt since he was a broke college intern scrambling for relevance, losing control. His phone buzzed, a message from his investigator. "We have a problem." Nathan clenched his teeth. "What problem?" The reply came instantly. "Someone else is leaking information. A woman named Claire Redding." Nathan's stomach dropped. Claire, of all people, what does she want? Before the investigator could respond, another notification popped up, this time from a gossip blog notorious for exposing corporate scandals. Nathan clicked it. Breaking. Former fiancé of rising COO alleges manipulation, coercion, pregnancy pressure. More victims suspected. Story developing. His blood ran ice cold. "No, no, no," Nathan whispered. He slammed his hand onto the counter, rattling a glass. He had spent years burying his past, years polishing his image, years clawing his way into the Colbridge dynasty, and now the ghosts were crawling out of the grave, dragging him with them. He dialed Claire immediately, straight to voicemail. He tried again, voicemail. Then a third time, voicemail. Nathan's fury ignited. "You think you can ruin me?" he hissed into the phone. "You don't get to do that. None of you do." He hurled the phone across the room. Back in Seattle, Harris inserted Claire's flash drive into his laptop. Mara sat beside him, heart pounding. Leo slept in the next room, blissfully unaware of the storm forming around his small world. A folder opened. Audio files, emails, screenshots, legal drafts, threats, apologies, more threats, all in Nathan's voice, all damning. Mara covered her mouth. "He did the same thing to her. He did worse," Harris said quietly, and he tried to erase the evidence. Claire sat stiffly on the couch. "I wanted to disappear after what he did. But your story, Mara, it's my story too, and I can't let him keep hurting people." Harris turned the laptop toward Mara. "This is enough to bury him, legally and publicly." Mara trembled, not from fear this time, but from a rising righteous fire. "Then let's bury him." At that moment, Leo wandered sleepily into the room, rubbing his eyes. "Mom? Mr. Harris? Why are you still awake?" Mara scooped him gently into her lap. "We're just fixing something that's been broken for a long time." And for the first time in years, she wasn't the one who felt broken. Nathan was. Nathan Cole stormed into the Colbridge headquarters the next morning, sunglasses on, jaw tight, moving fast enough that assistants pressed themselves against the walls. His name used to echo through these halls with admiration. Today, whispers followed him like shadows. He entered the executive boardroom and found Chairman Richard Colbridge, his almost father-in-law, waiting with two legal advisors. The air was frigid. "Sit," Richard said. Nathan obeyed, pulse hammering. Richard slid a printed article across the table. Two women come forward accusing COO Nathan Cole of coercion, intimidation, and emotional abuse. Nathan swallowed hard. "It's exaggerated. They're trying to destroy me." Richard's glare sharpened. "This company cannot be tied to a scandal involving forced pregnancy decisions, Nathan. Do you have any idea what the media is doing with this?" Nathan forced a breath. "I can control the narrative." "No," Richard snapped. "You cannot. Not anymore." Nathan stiffened. "Are you threatening to fire me?" Richard leaned back slowly. "I'm giving you a chance to clean this up quietly. Withdraw the custody petition. Issue a private settlement. Make this disappear." Nathan's jaw clenched. "If I withdraw now, it's an admission of guilt." "It's damage control," Richard corrected. "And it's your only option." Nathan stood, shaking with rage. "I am not letting Mara Ellison make a fool out of me. And I'm not letting a child derail my future." Richard rose too, voice dropping to an icy low. "Be very clear, Nathan. If you choose war, you fight it alone." Nathan froze. Alone. That word struck deeper than he expected. He left the boardroom rigid, skin burning with humiliation. Outside, Charlotte waited, eyes swollen from crying. She stepped forward. "My father gave you a chance to walk away," she whispered. "Take it." Nathan stared at her. "If you really believe I'm the monster they're painting me as, then why are you still here?" Charlotte's expression cracked. "Because a part of me hoped you weren't. But you won't stop. That's what scares me." She walked past him, brushing his shoulder lightly, Accidentally or deliberately, he couldn't tell. Meanwhile, in Seattle, Harris set 3 laptops on the dining table, building a timeline of evidence. Mara stood beside him, hands still trembling. "Harris, what do we do now?" she asked. He looked up, eyes steady. "Now, Mara, we stop playing defense." He turned the screen toward her. "And we bring your truth to light." The battle lines were officially drawn. Seattle's evening lights shimmered over Lake Union as Mara stood on Harris's balcony, gripping the railing to steady her breath. The city looked peaceful, deceptively so. Inside the house, laptops hummed, documents loaded, timelines tightened. War took strange shapes, she thought. Sometimes it looked like code on a screen. Harris stepped beside her. "We're close," he said. "Claire's files give us motive, pattern, intent. We just need the final link." Mara forced a tight smile. The link that shows he never changed. Before Harris could reply, his phone buzzed. A number he didn't recognize. He answered cautiously. A soft, shaky voice spoke. "Is this Dr. Wynn?" "Yes. Who is this?" "My name is Elise Monroe. I think we need to meet. I used to work under Nathan Cole at Colebridge." Harris's posture sharpened. "How did you get my number?" "Claire gave it to me," Elise whispered. "She said someone else was finally standing up to him." Mara stepped closer, heart pounding. Elise continued. "I filed a complaint against Nathan 2 years ago. HR buried it. They moved me to a different department, and he made sure I never got promoted again. But I saved the emails, all of them." Mara covered her mouth, emotion tightening her chest. Another victim. Another piece of the truth. Harris's voice softened. "Elise, can you come safely?" "I'm outside," she whispered. I didn't know where else to go. Both Mara and Harris froze. Harris rushed downstairs and opened the door. Elise stood there, mid-20s, hair trembling in the wind, clutching a thin folder to her chest like armor. She looked terrified and determined. "I don't want money," she said immediately. "I just want him exposed." Mara stepped forward. "You're brave for coming." Elise shook her head. "No, I'm desperate. If he becomes CEO, there will be more of us. He'll ruin anyone he can't control." She handed Harris the folder. Inside were dozens of emails, each more incriminating than the last. Manipulation, threats, retaliation, and one line made Harris go still. "I've done it before. I can make this disappear too. NC." Mara felt the air leave her lungs. That's him admitting it," she whispered. "Everything he did to Claire, to Elise, to me." Harris met her eyes. "And now," he said quietly, "we take this to someone who can't be bought." For the first time, Mara felt the shift. Not fear, not survival, power. Harris drove with a focus so sharp it felt surgical, the city lights of downtown Seattle streaking across the windshield like frantic brushstrokes. In the passenger seat, Mara clutched Elise's folder as if it contained the beating heart of the case, because it did. Claire sat in the back, hands twisting nervously while Leo slept, head resting on her shoulder. They were headed to the one place Nathan could not reach, a private meeting with investigative attorney Dana Whitmore, known for tearing apart corporate giants with nothing but truth and a legal pad. When they arrived, Dana was already waiting in her glass-walled office, overlooking Elliott Bay. She rose, expression sharp and assessing. "Dr. Wynn told me this was urgent. Show me what you have." Mara handed her the folder with trembling hands. Dana flipped through the documents slowly at first, then faster, then stopped abruptly. Her brows lifted. He admitted prior coercion. She tapped the printed email. This alone could force Colebridge into a public investigation. Claire swallowed. "There's more. I recorded a call once, when he threatened my job." Dana turned to her. "Do you still have it?" Claire nodded. "On my old phone. I never deleted it. I couldn't." "Bring it tomorrow morning," Dana said, "and guard it like a weapon, because that's what it is." Mara felt the room tilt slightly, not from fear, but from something she hadn't dared feel in years. Hope. Dana continued, voice crisp. "With these witnesses and this documentation, we're not just defending you. We're building a case that can remove him from power entirely." Harris nodded approvingly. "That's the goal." Dana's gaze softened slightly when she looked at Mara. Nathan is going to panic when he realizes what you have. Men like him get reckless before they fall. Mara exhaled slowly. He already is. Before Dana could respond, Harris's phone buzzed violently. He checked it, and his expression darkened. "What is it?" Mara asked. Harris turned the screen toward her. It was a headline. Fresh, explosive. COO Nathan Cole seen in Seattle after emergency custody filing. Sources claim conflict with mother escalating. Dana's jaw tightened. He's controlling the narrative, trying to frame you as unstable. Mara felt her pulse spike. He's preparing the public to hate me. No, Dana corrected calmly. He's preparing the public to watch him fall. And when Mara lifted her eyes, she no longer felt hunted. She felt ready. The Ritz-Carlton Los Angeles glowed like a palace of glass and gold that evening, filled with executives, investors, and polished smiles. It was supposed to be Nathan Cole's celebratory engagement gala, his night of triumph. Instead, it would become the night he was undone. Nathan stood near the grand staircase, adjusting his cufflinks, pretending everything was fine. But sweat dampened the back of his collar. His phone kept buzzing with alerts, articles, gossip threads, whispers of coercion allegations. He silenced them all. Tonight had to go perfectly. If he could charm the right donors and reassure the board, he could still survive this. At least, that's what he told himself. Then the ballroom doors opened. Mara stepped inside, not alone. Harris walked beside her, calm and composed, wearing a tailored suit that made half the room glance twice. Behind them were Claire Redding and Elise Monroe, two women Nathan prayed the world would never see again. Dana Whitmore followed, a quiet force with a portfolio of legal power in her hands. Conversations froze. People turned. Nathan's smile faltered. What is this?" Mara held his gaze. There was no fear left in her eyes. "Truth," she said. Dana stepped forward. "Mr. Cole, as of this evening, multiple formal complaints have been submitted to the Colebridge Legal Committee and the State Ethics Board. Effective immediately, you are under investigation." Nathan's eyes widened. "You can't do this here." "We already did," Dana replied coolly. "Your chairman has been notified. The board is convening tonight." Charlotte appeared behind Nathan, her face pale. "My father knows everything, Nathan. Every email, every threat, every lie." Nathan's breath fractured. "Charlotte, don't do this to me." "No," she whispered. "You did this to yourself." Around them, phones lit up. Guests backed away, whispering. Nathan felt the room tilt, his carefully built empire collapsing, brick by brick, truth by truth. He lunged toward Mara. "You ruined me." Harris intercepted him instantly, stepping between them like a wall. "No," he said, voice low. "You ruined yourself." Security closed in. Nathan looked around wildly, desperate, choking on a truth he could no longer control. He wasn't feared. He wasn't respected. He wasn't untouchable. He was exposed, and everyone was watching. As security escorted him out, Mara felt no triumph, only release, like exhaling a breath she'd held for 7 years. And for the first time, she felt free. The morning after Nathan's public collapse, Seattle felt brighter, soft sunlight glinting off Lake Union, gentle waves brushing the shoreline like a whispered reassurance. Mara stood on Harris's deck with a mug of warm tea, watching Leo chase a squirrel across the yard, his laughter ringing clear and unhindered. For the first time in 7 years, she felt something unfamiliar. Safety. Real, steady, unquestioned safety. Harris stepped outside, hands tucked in his pockets. "Dana called," he said. "Nathan is officially suspended. The board voted him out last night." Mara let out a slow breath, half disbelief, half relief. "It's over." "Legally, there will still be steps," Harris said gently. "But yes, it's over." She turned to him. "I never thought I'd see the day where he couldn't hurt us anymore." Harris studied her for a moment, eyes soft. "Mara, you didn't just survive him. You defeated him. You protected Leo with nothing but your strength." She felt heat rise behind her eyes, not from pain this time, but something warm, deep, healing. "Harris, I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. "You don't have to." His voice was quiet, but sure. "I didn't help you because I had to. I helped you because I care about you." The words settled between them, gentle, unmistakable. Leo ran up then, breathless. "Mom, Mr. Harris, look, look, a blue jay." Harris crouched beside him. "That's a good sign," he said. "Blue jays protect their nests fiercely." Leo grinned. "Like you protected us?" Harris's eyes flicked to Mara. "Something like that." Leo scampered off again, leaving them in a silence filled with possibility. Mara exhaled. "Harris, after everything, I'm scared to start over." He stepped closer, not imposing, just present. "Then don't start alone." Her breath caught. "I'm not saying rush anything," he continued softly, "but I'm here, for you, for Leo, for whatever future you choose." Mara felt the last remnants of fear melt into something steady, something hopeful. She reached for his hand. "Harris, I want that future too." He smiled, small, genuine, like sunlight finally breaking through clouds long overdue. Down by the water, Leo called out, "Mom, Mr. Harris, come see." Mara squeezed Harris's hand. "Come on," she said. "Our son wants us." And for the first time, the word "our" didn't feel frightening. It felt right. It felt earned. It felt like the life she was finally allowed to live. All right, so our story has come to an end. And if you're still here with us, still listening at this moment, then something in this journey must have touched your heart in a quiet, personal way. Maybe it reminded you of your own strength, or of a pain you once carried alone. Mara's story isn't just about hardship or justice. It reminds us that healing begins the moment you choose to stand on your own side. Like the Stoics said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Real strength begins there. We can't control what others do to us, but we can choose how we rise afterward. We can choose what kind of person we become because of it. This story whispers a few truths. You deserve love that protects, not harms. You deserve peace after the storms you didn't choose. And sometimes, the universe sends the right people just when you feel most alone. If Mara's journey resonated with you, or made you think of someone you care about, then please like this video. Share it with someone who might need a little strength today. And if you want to stay with us for more healing stories like this, you're not alone. You're stronger than you think. And your story is still unfolding. This story you've just watched is a work of fiction, created solely for emotional storytelling, reflection, and entertainment. The characters, events, and situations are not real and are not based on any specific individuals. Our intention is never to mislead, misinform, or present false information as factual. Instead, we aim to explore meaningful themes like healing, courage, and personal growth through dramatic narrative. Any resemblance to real people or real situations is purely coincidental. We encourage viewers to enjoy the story for what it is, a creative piece designed to inspire empathy and understanding. Please remember that real-life conflicts should always be handled with care, communication, and professional guidance when needed. Thank you for supporting this channel and for appreciating storytelling in its most responsible form.